What can make my game different or interesting? What can I do to make it stand out from the crowd? There is so much out there these days, from one-page indie games on itch.io to endless D&D rehashes in the DM's Guild. How do you even get seen?
Far be it from me to use marketing speak, I guess, but every game needs a USP, a unique selling point. That can be the genre, especially if it's an underserved genre. It can be the mechanics, but then you're only really going to interest a certain group or subset. If you've made your own mechanics, you might draw curiosity from people who are interested in genre emulation, if your mechanic fits the genre particularly well, or people like me who are just interested in how other people approach game systems and so on. Or if you use a particular system like Powered by the Apocalypse, or a 5th edition or D20 derivative, or Fate, or OpenD6 or something. Each system comes with its own little audience that are going to be more interested if you use that system they're familiar with. Yeah, so there's that aspect. Though by taking any option, you're also kind of limiting yourself to an extent as to who is going to be interested in your game and what you're doing. So that's kind of two-edged. You can be a controversial and misunderstood figure that draws a certain amount of attention. In the short term, that's really helpful, really useful. In the long term, yeah, not so much. Especially because everyone is so siloed into their own little social media bubbles that if someone has made a judgment about you and other people follow along with it, then you're forever cut off from those bubbles with no way to pierce them and get noticed, even if it's all bullshit. So that's a two-edged sword as well. Good artwork draws attention more than it probably should, or perhaps I should say appropriate artwork draws more attention than it probably should. A strong visual style certainly doesn't hurt. A strong writing voice doesn't hurt. If you take an approach that is highly stylistic one way or the other, then you're definitely going to stand out from the kind of corporate pap that someone like Wizards puts out. And a lot of people appreciate that. Plus, you're avoiding being as replaceable by AI, which still has issues replicating a more conversational or a more artistic style. But getting noticed, it's not easy. Advertising hasn't paid off for me. Word of mouth has. So having an activated group of fans and friends really helps. But this is the big problem that anyone who makes anything is facing at the moment. Social media was meant to be this great sort of leveler. Crowdfunding was meant to be this sort of great leveler where anybody could find and exploit their audience. Exploit without the negative connotations there. And crowdfunding opened up the possibility for small indie producers to be disruptive, but all of that has gone away now. Unless you pay, the social media algorithms are not going to favour you. Your stuff's not going to get seen. You're going to have to pay for adverts in order to be seen at all, and targeting the role-playing audience is difficult, to say the least. So that's an issue. And crowdfunding has largely been taken over and usurped by larger companies or people who've managed to wangle one way or another, access to a big intellectual property, and they draw all the attention and all the money, and the small independent creators barely get a look in these days. So you'll see nonsense like a Powered by the Apocalypse Avatar game making millions of dollars on crowdfunding while someone's independent project struggles to reach a few thousand when it probably deserves a lot more. Which isn't to say that any of these things aren't useful, it's just that they're not as useful as they used to be. So I think forming a hard core of dedicated fans so that you can create a more organic buzz around whatever you're doing, email lists, specialist groups, even forums, which are horribly out of favour. These are all ways to create a group of fans, a group of people who appreciate what you're doing and will then push it and spread it for you. So, unique selling point, grab people's attention with your writing and your art, gather a group of fans who will boost your product for you, and learn how to wangle and twist and exploit social media to get more attention, and be controversial in the short term, but lovely in the long term. I don't really know. I have a lot of trouble getting attention to my projects lately, but historically and intellectually, I guess, rather than practically, those are the things I would suggest.